right, we are here today with Kadidra, and you usually go by Kadidra, right? Kadidra, and she's from the Bahamas, and we met under very funny circumstances. So I took a picture, and she saw it on Instagram. I was like, hey, I know that place. And then we're like, oh, hey, we're neighbors. And she's been watching me on YouTube for some time now, and that's where she recognized me from. And she started watching when she was in her home country in Bahamas, and now she's in Canada, and she is a permanent resident. Okay. And she's here. She is a nurse, and we're here to hear her story. If you don't know me, I'm Christina. I'm from Jamaica. Welcome to Ask Told by Canadian Immigrants. Please consider subscribing and sticking around for more helpful videos on how to move to Canada, life in Canada, and how to succeed in Canada as an immigrant. So we're here to hear about Kadidra's story today, and this is going to be part of our Immigration Stories series as we hear from immigrants across Canada in different industries, in different parts of Canada, how they got here and how their life has been going here since they're here now, because you've heard my story already. So welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you for taking the time out. I just want to get to know, or help them get to know you a little better, but even me, because like we haven't been able to sit down and have like a real talk
one-on-one,
right? So tell me about your life in Bahamas and then transitioning over to Canada. But what was your life like before Canada in the Bahamas?
Okay, so I was born and raised in the Bahamas, so did all of my primary, my high school education back then. I graduated from high school in 2011, then I went to another island in the Bahamas, Nassau, which is the capital. I did my university there, so that's where I got my Bachelor's of Science in Nursing, and I completed that program back in December 2016.
Okay.
And after completing the Bachelor's of Science, then I went to work, so I relocated back to my home island, which is Freeport, and I worked there from 2016 December up until December 2020 when I moved to Canada.
In the pandemic.
In the pandemic.
Okay. So how did the idea of Canada come about? Like, why Canada?
Well, the first time I visited Canada was back in 2019. My mom, my daughter, and I, we have family here, so we came, we did a visit, and, they always spoke so highly of Canada, and we came, and I fell in love instantly.
Really?
Yeah. So I definitely saw it as some place that I can be, some place that I think would be good to also raise Aja and stuff like that. So I went back home after that vacation and kind of hit the ground running with it in the back of my mind, like, okay, what do I need to get to Canada? But of course, I didn't even know where to start.
Yes, typical.
Didn't know like what to do, like what pathway or anything like that would have worked for me. I figured that, okay, because I was a nurse, maybe it might have been a little bit of a leverage or something that I could have used to maybe get in.
Yeah. And
I just went from there, really.
And your route was through school.
Yes.
Right? So at what point did you decide, okay, I'm going to have to go to school in Canada? Because you already finished nursing school.
Yes.
You have a daughter. So now you're going back to school in a new country. And so how did you make that decision for school? And then how was like just executing that decision? Like how did that go? Especially given the fact that you have Aja.
So at first, what I was trying to do was actually come as a federal skilled worker. But I came in 2021. So remember, because of COVID and all of that, they stopped all the intake of the federal skilled workers. So it was a whole.
Would you have had enough points?
I think I was around 4 something, but that was without the Canadian education and all of that, so not quite enough.
Yeah.
But after I realized that they weren't having any intakes of the federal skilled workers, I decided to maybe try a different route. And then that's when I realized, well, hey, maybe the international student route might be feasible for me.
Yeah.
It was expensive, but I figured that would be my best option and would give me timely and, I think, secure and sure results.
Yeah. And did you have assistance? I know you watched my channel, so you can tell me, like, how did you find my channel and how was it helpful for you? And then for, like, executing the process, did you get help from, like, a person or anything like that?
No, I did the whole process completely on my own from home, just with research. So the first thing that I did was kind of go to the CIC website, try to see what they were saying, what pathways, what the requirements was, and so on. So I did that, like kind of read it like back and front, over and over and over, trying to understand the stuff.
Yeah.
Now the problem with that is I'm a visual learner, so although I was reading that, making my notes and everything was good and dandy in that aspect, I still needed it broken down like in layman's term for me, as well as just something more relatable that I could understand. So of course I took to good old YouTube, and at first I was typing in, okay, Bahamians in Canada, newcomers to Canada and stuff like that, looking for Bahamians that would, I guess, kind of be able to tell me like, their aspect, and we would of course be similar in terms of like, the requirements coming from the Bahamas.
Yeah.
But the videos I found from Bahamians were kind of far and few in between, so it wasn't really a lot of results. So then I had to broaden my search a little bit. Okay, newcomers to Canada and this and that, and found some, but still wasn't giving me exactly what I needed, what I was looking for that was kind of relevant to my situation, coming from the Caribbean as well as coming with a minor.
Yeah.
So it was tricky. And then I don't know what I typed in one day.
I wish I knew.
but I think the first video of yours that I watched, what I stumbled on was I think it was how to come to Canada or something like that, and how to come to Canada.
Yeah.
And I remember in that video you kind of broke down like your journey, how you came as an international student and stuff like that. You broke down the CRS ranking tool. I think you talked a little bit about like the proof of funds and different stuff like that. So I was like, hold on now, this girl onto something. So that was the first time for a while that I was able to like really understand and kind of like wrap my head around like, okay, the whole process. And you talked about after school, post-grad work permit and all that. And I was like, okay, this seems kind of doable.
Okay.
So went on your channel, gone through some more of the content that you had there, found out about like, the letter of explanation and the step-by-step how to apply. And I went from there and did the application a short while after. I would say September 2020 is when I officially submitted the study permit application.
Oh, well. And how did it work? So you brought Aja with you when you came?
Yes.
Okay.
Aja came with me.
Yes. How was that? Because that's like a different animal altogether. Because you're coming to a new country. Yes, you have family, but and in the next episode we're gonna find out what school you went to and what program you studied, because you already had an undergraduate in nursing.
Yes.
Right. But you came with Aja. She was
3 at the time.
A 3-year-old.
3-year-old.
Yeah, so you have to think about childcare. And wow, how was that? Like, so you brought her with you. I wasn't sure about that. I wasn't sure if you left her with mom. So how did that work out for you when you decided, okay, because you're doing research for yourself, you're having to research daycare for her. How did that all come together for you?
So it came together after doing the research. I found that, okay, bringing the dependent with me, because she was a minor, was kind of easy in terms of like tacking her onto like my application.
Yeah.
But I also had to consider the fact that bringing an extra person means extra proof of income. So that was okay. Worked around that, saved up a little bit more and stuff in terms of getting her, and then also had to take into the aspect of 3-year-old, separating her from, her father, her cousins and stuff like that. Yeah. Both my parents were back home at the time, still in the Bahamas, so it was literally just she and I.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a hard decision to make, but I mean, when you want the best for your children, when you want a better quality of life and stuff like that, sometimes you have to weigh out the pros and the cons.
Yes.
And that's what I did.
Yeah.
So January 9th, 2021, she and I came in the heart of winter. And luckily, because it was still COVID, my entire program, the whole 8-month program that I did, was fully online.
Perfect.
So that was a blessing from God himself.
Yes.
So because it was fully online, I was able to stay home with her. I didn't need childcare or anything like that. It was fully virtual, which worked in my favor.
Yes.
So she was only 3 at the time. So had it not been virtual, then I would have had to search for childcare, which, as we know,
Yes.
is something all in itself.
Yeah.
And it was pretty okay in terms of doing the program with her. But as you can imagine, having a 3-year-old is
I don't need to imagine.
challenging.
I don't need to imagine. I have ADD from that.
Yeah, plus I'm doing the thing fully virtual, but I kind of worked around her schedule. Most of my classes were early morning classes, which kind of worked in my benefit.
Yeah.
So I would hop onto my Zoom meetings while she was still asleep, do as much as I could do. And then whenever she would wake up, we had like a little routine. I would get her breakfast. And then honestly, I just learned the art of distraction, to be quite honest.
Yep.
Get her little toys, Play-Doh, art, coloring, TV, whatever it was to kind of keep her settled and occupied while I did my lectures.
Yeah.
And because it was in the heart of COVID as well, my lecturers and my professors were very understanding because they too are mothers with their kids at home, kind of getting into everything.
Right,
So,
because that would be a double problem because like it's one thing to come to Canada, you don't have anybody, but then also in COVID where you're not really trying to send your kid to daycare as such.
Exactly.
Wow.
So yeah, the professors were pretty understanding. So anytime she would come up to me for a hug or something, they saw her, they would talk to her and smile and chat a bit and stuff. So very understanding in that aspect. So yeah, whenever I would have tests and stuff I would try to put her to bed and then stay up late throughout the night to try to do those things or like any heavy assignments, and that's kind of how I worked around it. But it was definitely a little bit challenging with her being so young.
Yeah, I can imagine. So we just got to know a little bit about Kadidra. She moved here from the Bahamas in the heat of the pandemic, or kind of like on the second wave of the pandemic, rather, with a minor 3-year-old and went into nursing. So now we are going to go into the specifics of your actual Canadian immigration journey, the start of the actual journey, meaning the paperwork and this and that, and if you had any hiccups or anything like that. So stay tuned, watch us in that next video. These videos are going to be airing every Sunday for the month of November. So depending on where you're watching this, the next episode may or may not be out, but stay tuned. We're going to hear more from Kadidra, and what I'm sure a lot of people will be interested in is transitioning here as a nurse and getting into a regulated profession.
Yeah,
because I'm also very interested in that. So stay tuned, subscribe, like, share this video with anybody who you think it may be helpful to, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.